Hello, my name is Trey Robinson, and I will be discussing the aftermath of the Menendez brothers case and the disadvantages that we as a society face because of its results. The first is the inaccurate reporting of future parricide cases in the media. Legal scholars Boots and Hyde state that because of the popularity of parricide cases, media reports are, quote, more likely to exaggerate the involvement of juvenile offenders and female offenders, end quote. This inaccurate reporting is a direct result of the Menendez case specifically. The extensive media coverage that this case received is a primary reason that parricide cases in general are not only improperly reported, but overreported as well. Boots and Hyde assert that the actions that took place in this, quote, media trial, as they put it, such as the media's attendant hearings and appeals, were seen by many as the, quote, final step in a long process of merging news and entertainment components of the mass media, end quote. This obviously leads to many unfortunate negative results. Another disadvantage of the after effects of this case was the push to expand the self-defense legal definition to include victims of child abuse, more specifically battered child syndrome. Legal scholars Hart and Helms have argued for the broadening of this definition of self-defense in order to encompass parricide for children suffering abuse. They cite the Menendez case specifically as the, quote, most famous case of parricide that refutes the critics' beliefs that allowing battered child syndrome as a justification for self-defense would open the floodgates, end quote. They argue that the, quote, defense of battered child syndrome would still be reserved for only those cases where there is clear evidence that the defendant acted out of desperation and had no other choice, end quote. They use the verdict of guilty rendered in the Menendez case, as well as the limitations set by the court regarding matters of their alleged child abuse as proof of their argument that this would be okay because we would still be able to contain it. But broadening the self-defense definition is a dangerous action for more reasons than what the legal scholars in this particular work state, as this act of broadening the definition itself is not narrowly tailored in being that it's not only action that you could use to achieve your goal. There are other ways to achieve encompassing some form of defense for those who suffer battered child syndrome who commit parricide to, be covered. But broadening the definition of self-defense is too extreme and is a major disadvantage of this case specifically. A final disadvantage brought to society after the Menendez brothers case involves the question of a grand jury witness's right to counsel. Now, during the Menendez brothers case, there was a point where the prosecutors were trying to obtain a letter written by Lyle Menendez to his girlfriend, Tracy Baker, asking her to lie if she was forced to testify. And they would subpoena her and any correspondence she had with him in order to obtain this. However, her and her counsel, her attorney, were a little, shady about giving it up. They didn't want to, just give it to them. So there was a lot of miscommunication that went into it as well. But it ended up just not going to the prosecutors. And they would eventually force her to testify in a grand jury, be a grand jury witness, essentially. But they strategically searched her attorney while she was testifying, giving her testimony. They were using the subpoena to find the correspondence as grounds for the search, but they were more strategically doing it so she would perjure herself during the grand jury. And this would lead to a court case, Gabbard v. Kahn, which brought up concerns about, quote, prosecutorial conduct in grand jury investigations and a grand jury witness's right to consult with her lawyer during her testimony, end quote. The issue in particular has not been officially ruled on, and thus opened up concerns about whether grand jury witnesses are having their rights violated if they're unable to consult with their counsel during testimony. And this, again, is still open up to debate as it's never been officially ruled on in court. But these are the main disadvantages and cons as a result of the Menendez brothers case. Thank you.